Alright, good evening and welcome to round one of the the Antara Boxer Cup, brought to you by Automobilista Australia, and of course myself, Lewis Wedding, in the commentary box, and we've also got Floodman to jump in the commentary box and welcome along.
Great to be here, Lewis. Great to jump in on the Porsche Cup, one of my favourite series worldwide, and glad that you guys are doing it.
And we did run what could be described as an official Boxer Cup series a couple of years ago. And we also had a Super Series which featured, well, every car was a Boxer Cup car, but it was meant to be multi-class. But everyone chose the Boxer Cup, so it just ended up being the Boxer Cup. But anyway, we've brought it back, and I've got a lot of cars out on track at the moment, but we have 30 plus drivers registered for the series, Floody. So a lot of action in store, especially around this Long Beach circuit.
Yeah, what a place to start a Boxer Cup series at Long Beach, the street circuit in, of course, Long Beach, California. Very tight, very bumpy, and that's going to cause a lot of mistakes as the cars are just coming around to start their first qualifying laps. Qualifying is a 10-minute session with unlimited laps, so expect to see some of the drivers out there on track already. We've got quite a few coming across the start-finish line to start their first laps now.
Yeah, it looks like Lion Mitch will be the first man to set a lap in qualifying, provided, of course, he doesn't bin it on this lap. So he's just coming through the long sweeping turn one and into those little tyre bundles on the exit there too. So then the run here through the famous garden. And then here we go, another one of the very bumpy corners through this section here. And all kinds of sideways. He's got Steve Burko in behind as well. And from what you've seen in practice, Floody, who would be your pick for pole position tonight?
Well, I was in the practice session with a few of the drivers, also in the permanent server over the weekend. And from the group of drivers at the front there, I think Tim Redmond has been looking very, very strong. He's technically entered as a wild card tonight, I think. And also his teammate Luke Rosella and, of course, Will Devonish. They've been the three strong ones. But honestly, there's a few drivers, Brenton Foley as well, who's third in that line behind Lion Mitch. Could also be someone to challenge for the top step tonight.
Yeah, got a number of drivers looking very, very quick. Luke Rosella a late in. Liam Spencer couldn't make it, and Luke's jumped in as a late replacement. So Lion Mitch, first man across the line, a competitive 1 minute 20.5 for him. So he's off to a flyer, and he's just ahead of Brenton Foley. He's gone P2 on a 1 minute 20.8. So in practice, all I saw were 121s from a lot of people, and immediately in qualifying, straight into mid-20s, bloody. So hot pace already.
Yeah, that's actually not too far away from the fastest outright time in the permanent server, which is a 1:20.1. So we're already right at the pointy ends of times, and Lion Mitch is going a little quicker this time, but I think that slide through turn 6 there is not going to help him out, so he's not going to improve this lap. Foley's up 2/10 on his personal best time, but he's right in the wheel tracks of, I think that's Steve Burko.
Yes, he's gassed it up. Yeah, he's gone around. He's just on board. He was up 2/10, but that little mistake and being caught behind Burko means, well, that lap is done and dusted. Brendan Ross now in 4th place. Luke Rosella has jumped up to P2, and he's got a couple of cars in front of him. Looks like he's started to back off as well.
Now, I've just caught Tim Redmond going across the line for his first flying lap. It's a 1:21 flat, so he's got a little way to improve if he wants to reach his time. There's a bit of a biff in turn 1, I just heard. See if I can catch who that one was.
Did catch Will Devonish as I was cycling through the cars there. I don't know. I think there was a car a little bit further down the road in front of him, so perhaps there was a bit of contact there, or someone's just ran wide into the fence there. But also had Greg Turra join very late on. I don't know if he's done too much practice, but it's good to see him out here in the...
And his son Noah is about to cross the line. He's had a pretty good lap. I think he was 5/10 up on his PB, so he's going to come across the line and improves, not by much in the end. It was just by a 10th. Good to see Noah Turra in the server as well. He was, I think, as a privateer this season, so not expected to make all the rounds. So good to have him out for tonight.
Certainly is. after a bit of a slow lap, I think Rosella was just letting cars in front of him just drive away just to get some breathing room. He's about to start another fly here, so we'll ride on board a lap and see if he can just sneak ahead of Lion Mitch for provisional pole position.
So we're just about to come through the Sector 2 mark, or Sector 1 marker now, and he's up on his PB and on the pole time as he goes through the right-hander onto West Shoreline Drive. There's a little chute here for the first major left-hand, or the second major left-hander of the circuit. You get very close to the wall there, but this little rise in the track makes it very hard to modulate the throttle to get over the top of it. Now onto the back straight seaside way, using all the road there for Rosella. He's got, I think that's Lachlan Lock up the track ahead of him. That should be enough room to keep out of the way for Lachlan, and Rosella's up again.
Yeah, 4 tenths on his PB and 3 tenths up on Lion Mitch, so a very, very handy lap, but he's had Lock in front of him out of spin, but he's still kept in it. That was the width of a Boxer Cup car, and he's snuck it in there, and I don't think he's lost too much time either, so I think we will just see him sneak ahead and into provisional pole.
Oh yeah, he does. 0.19 of a second up on Lion Mitch's time. It just came up on my screen as a +0, so that was really weird. But Rosella, yeah, well done to get through that spin from Lock and not lose too much time.
Yeah. How there wasn't contact there, I'll never know, because it is very easy to run a little bit wide through that left-hander before the hairpin. Got Foley just up on his time, 3 tenths away from Rosella's time, but he's looking to improve on his own time.
Gets through the hairpin quite nicely. Not a lot of wheel spin on the exit there, so we'll track him as he comes down the main straight. Lion Mitch was just ahead of him as well, and he doesn't improve, which is a little bit of a surprise. He looked very smooth through the car park there, so I wonder where he's lost that time.
I think he lost a little bit through that that left-hander before the hairpin there. He looked a bit tentative, especially compared to Rosella when we were riding on board with him. So I think he's lost a little bit of time there. So there's certainly at least a tenth or two in it for Foley, where he could claw back a bit of time. So look out for him. Probably right at the end as he just goes for it at the penultimate corner there.
And he's up on the first sector this time around, so I'll keep a track of where he is around the lap, but he's doing quite well. It's good to see that most drivers have had the opportunity to get one flying lap in without too much drama. I think everyone's got pretty close to a representative lap time in at the moment. So good to see that despite the smaller track and the high amounts of traffic with, 25 people in the server at the moment, that we've managed to get everyone to get a lap together.
It's a massive grid, and once again Foley up on his own time in the second sector. Let's see how he manages the long left-hander for the hairpin. A little bit more committed this time, a little bit of a slide under braking though for the hairpin, but I think he will make up a little bit of time on himself there. I'm not sure if he'll jump in front of Lion Mitch, but he'll certainly give it a crack.
And he won't. Improves on his time, but again, not close enough to Lion Mitch, about 0.16 of a second to get onto the front row of the grid, and then 3.5 tenths to get onto the top spot as he throws it away off the end of Shoreline Drive.
Just jump back to Will Devonish. He's down in 6th. Normally we see him maybe a few places higher, but I've cut to him and can see a bit of smoke coming out the back of his car. So obviously he's just taken all the ducting and all the radiator size out, and he's running that thing as lean as possible to extract every bit of performance possible. And well, he's 2 tenths down at the moment on his own time and 7 tenths off the pole time in second split, so he's probably going to have to go again on the next lap here. If he doesn't, well, that's all she wrote, because there's only, well, there's less than a minute now left.
So this will be his last lap then, coming across the lane. He's got a little bit of traffic as well in the form of Rhodey and the number 27 car, I think that was. That looks like Tim Red. So we'll have to see how he goes, if he can navigate through that traffic. It was actually 43 car, not 27. I don't know where I got 27 from. So we'll see how he goes as everyone comes across to start their final flyers.
Big slide out of what is turn 2 there. Devon is very committed. He's sideways again through the garden. And what can he manage in the first split? Again, all kinds of sideways. He's struggling with that car. He's up by 0.5 tenth on his own time. He's 1.5 tenths down on Rosella's provisional pole time at the moment. again, I think he's lost just a smidgen of time from that left hand. I don't have the core names or numbers on hand. I apologise, but certainly very committed. Although with that left hander, he didn't commit as much as I would have thought.
So timer has clicked over now, so everyone is on their final flying lap. So we'll make sure to keep everyone abreast of any changes in the field. At the moment, it looks like actually Hans has done very well to the first sector mark. We'll see how he goes along as well. Let's see if we can catch Will coming across the line.
Yes, all the way to the line, and he proves by half a tenth, which is enough to move him ahead of Brendan Ross, who's in the pit, so he's not going to be able to return serve. And yeah, Hans, he's up half a second on his own time. 4 tenths off Rosella's time, but still a massive improvement on his own effort so far, so we could see him jump up ahead of both Ross and Devonish. He can just keep it all together here out of the hairpin. Looks quite smooth, and unless we missed a mistake a little bit early on, he should jump up a couple spots, and he does up to third. So
wow,
in fact, that final sector, I think that's almost purple. That is very, very quick. He brought back time on Rosella even.
That's a huge final sector for Hans. Jumps him, as we mentioned, into third. So he eclipsed Foley, Redmond, and Devonish to jump up those positions, and Brendan Ross as well. So yeah, very impressive. And that's the last major move in the standings as we come to the end of qualifying.
Yeah, that is the end of qualifying. So just have a quick little run through. So Rosella will start from pole position for the sprint race. And then we have Lime Mitch, another great effort from him. He'll start on the front row. Brunswick right at the death, jumping up into third. Bretton Foley in fourth, followed by Redmond, Devonish, Brendan Ross, Wayne Spencer, good effort from him in P8. Greg Tara, late joiner, in 9th. Dwayne Davies in 10th. Steve Bolger, 11th, followed by the other Steve Burko in 12th. Mishra in 13th, followed by Cox, Tara, Noah, that is. Then Termo, Lachlan Locke. John McDonald in 18th. Rhodey 19th. Mike Coulston in 20th. Then Bagacino, Darren Kemp, Manuel Centino, and Avenger Ben was a late comer in the server as well, so I don't think he actually set a time. He's also in the guest car. Well, with qualifying over, that actually gives us just a little bit of time here, Floody, just to go over the calendar that is coming up, and a lot of the circuits are going to be quite interesting. A lot of them not too long, not too short, and I reckon they're going to be just right for these Boxer Cup cars.
Yeah, well, the Boxer Cup kind of strikes like the right in between of like the entry level short track sort of racing, and then the more like broader high level like GT3 or F1 style track. So we've chosen, well, you guys have chosen a very good selection, I think. So from Long Beach, we stay in America to go to Road Atlanta, sorry, in 2 weeks' time. Then Autopolis. Which is, whereabouts is Autopolis?
And it's in Japan, so that's also on the GT3 Sprint Cup calendar, but the one on the Sprint Cup calendar, I believe, is it's the longer layout. So
yeah,
this one is the shorter one for the Porsches, just over, I think, about a minute 10 or so long, maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, fairly short lap, as is Queensland Raceway, which we all know.
Yeah, Queensland is going to be one of the much shorter, the bull ring sort of circuits. And then Surfers Paradise, the supercars layout. So again, using the shorter circuit, not the historic IndyCar layout, may that rest in peace. I do miss that IndyCar layout quite a fair bit, actually.
It is a good layout, and we will see that, of course, in the AMSOZ Supercar Championship. It was just run in Super 2, which the drivers seem to enjoy, and also brought about some really good racing. So later on in the year, you will see some racing back on the old Indy layout. And then, of course, we have the Imola circuit, which will host the only single sort of mini endurance race, which will be pretty interesting, I'd say.
Yeah, endurance racing these cars is definitely going to be a challenge. They're pretty taily, so maintaining concentration for long periods of time in these cars is going to be quite difficult. And Imola, I actually think Imola is quite an underrated circuit. They actually had the opening round of the GT World Challenge in the real life there just a fortnight ago. It was actually quite an interesting event. So I reckon Imola for these cars is going to be a great circuit.
Yeah, we did host it around there, I believe, when it was the Super Series, perhaps, and brought about some really good racing. That was a multi-race format at that time, and races were about, I think, 35 to 40 minutes in that one. This race will be, I think, around about 50 minutes long, and then yeah, there is no compulsory pit stops for any of these races throughout the season, but with 2 times tyre and fuel wear, we will see drivers that probably will have to pit in, well, depending on the circuit. And it's going to bring a little bit of strategy into play, particularly with some of the circuits which are a bit harder on tyres, say like Queensland Raceway and perhaps even Snetterton, the
Yeah.
shorter layout with the long right-hander there towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, so that's going to be something that's definitely going to be a concern for some of the drivers who might be a little more, say, tail happy or something like maybe something like a Brenton Foley might be in a bit of trouble. But we finish off the season with 2 races each at 2 classic racetracks: Alton Park, the classics layout, and then the Nürburgring Sprint layout, chopping off the downhill hairpin there just to cut across out of the arena to finish off our season just at the end of November.
Yep, just before obviously December, obviously, and it's going to be, I reckon it's going to be a really, really tight season. And we also do have multiple formats. So there is 3 different types. There is the normal standard format, which is qualifying followed by a sprint race and then a feature race. Now, the second race in each one of these formats is, well, the top 8 positions get reversed, so similar to F2/GP2. And then we have the alternate, which is the qualifying, and then we have the feature race followed by the sprint. And then, as mentioned earlier, Imola is the sole sort of mini endurance race at about 50 minutes, and it's only just a single race event. So that, I guess, brings us on to the circuit tonight. Long Beach, as you can see, 3.167 kilometers, 11 corners. And tonight we've got 2 races, of course, with the standard format, with the sprint race coming first with 13 laps, and then the 19-lap feature race. And Floody, I reckon that feature race is going to throw up some variables with some drivers perhaps overusing their rear tyres, and we may see some drivers stay out, some drivers electing to pit.
Yeah, it's going to be a very challenging night on tyres. There's a lot of areas of this circuit where you can get a lot of oversteer. We saw in qualifying there, out of the final corner especially, and also because we got those very tricky 90-degree corners, it really encourages a bit of wheel spin. So if you're able to maybe choke a bit of that off and take a bit more care of your tyres, you might reap the dividends come the end of the race, especially in that feature race, as we've got a few cars out on track at the end of the warm-up now. Pit stops, but it certainly wouldn't be out of the question. I was struggling on tires. I'd find that after 2 or 3 laps, you really take the most off them, and you got to start adjusting your lines. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who has to bite the bullet and who can get away with not taking a pit stop.
Yeah, so we will see. I reckon early on we'll see drivers, especially in the sprint, the feature race. We'll see early on who's just going to go for it, drive 100%, and well, they'll see where their tyres are with a couple laps to go and see if they need a pit. We may even see guys just come in at midpoint and just sort their tyres out, or we might see guys just early on take it a bit easy and just try and coast there and, well, take it easy on their tyres, and hopefully have some tyre left at the end of the race to make up some spots on guys that are, well, overusing their tyres early on. So it's going to throw up a lot of variables, and I reckon we could see a couple guys spring some surprises like we saw in the test round.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit challenging around this circuit in particular because it's so tight and there's so little passing opportunities. There's really only maybe the end of the main straight where you can really throw a dive on someone, or even up a seaside wave up the back straight to really get the run on someone and make a dive. So you might find that if you get people who are struggling on tires, they might be able to hold out just because the track position is so important here. On the other hand, you don't want to suffer a puncture or something like that in an untoward time. Otherwise, that might throw your race completely out the window. So it's going to be, a battle to see who can conserve the best, I think, at the end of the race.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Time has run out in the warm-up session. I'm just going to make a slight change to OBS. So the stream will stop for a second, but we should be back underway just before the formation lap gets underway. So don't go anywhere. Alright, do apologise for that little brief pause there, but we are back. Hopefully the little stutters have stopped. Just changed the settings slightly. So if we do have some more issues, we'll sort that out after race number 1 here. So just now waiting for the drivers to form up on the grid. Is a formation lap and a standing start. And Floody, why don't you run us through the grid for race 1 here from Long Beach?
Well, first up on the grid, taking the first pole position for Boxer Cup is Luke Rosella in the Spencer Racing car. So he's leasing that one from Liam Spencer tonight. Second place is Lion Mitch in the privateer entry. Then it is Hans Brunswick in the Equerry Brunswick, the Golden Gaytime coloured car, is the way I remember that one. Brendan Foley out of 4th with Tim Redman in 5th, and then Foley's teammate Will Devonish in 6th place in the Vodafone car. Brendan Ross in the first of the FCR cars is out of 7th place with Wayne Spencer in the second of the Spencer Racing boxes. Greg Turra in the DNF Racing car is out of 9th, and then it is Dwayne Davies in the second of the FCR Motorsport cars rounding out the top 10. Steve Bolger in the Thermo Engineering Mobile 1 coloured car is out of 11th. Then it's the other Steve Burko in the SYB Racing number 7. Ujit Mishra is running as a privateer in the, that's the Singapore liveried car.
Yeah, Singapore Airlines, yep.
Looks beautiful. Then it's Daniel Cox in the Anston Motorsports number 94. Noah Tara running as a privateer this season out of 15th. Then it's Termo in the Thermo Engineering car, the Castrol coloured car, out of 16th. Lachlan Locke in the 237, number 237. John McDonald out of 18th in the Hooters car. Rhodey out of 19th in the second of the Equerry Brunswick machines. Then Mike Coulston running as a guest car this evening rounds out your 20. 21st is the Team Frog Bagacino car. 22nd is Darren Kemp.
Heard an incident on the formation lap somewhere, so I think someone's picked the wall.
We'll just round out the grid and we'll chase that up in a second. Manuel Santino and Avenger Ben both running the guest racing cars is the tail end of the field.
They're both in the same
car.
So hopefully we'll try and sort out something between races where one of them changes. Yeah, I think that was whoever's at the back there, just cutting to replay. Yeah, Avenger Ben just swerving a little bit too much and swerving into the barrier there underneath the, I think it's the parking or just the walkway there, just hitting the wall. Just waiting now for the cars to form up, or the cars at the back of the grid anyway, to form up on the grid. Guys at the front have been waiting a little while, but almost set and ready for race 1 of the Antara Boxer Cup from Long Beach.
Going to be brave enough to make any predictions as the lights go green?
I have no idea what's going to happen here. And we are away. And it looks like Lion Mitch got a decent start, slightly better start than Rosella, who's not had the greatest of one of the Vodafone cars. I think that's Foley looking to go around the outside. So the long run now to turn 2. And we're 3 and 4 abreast. We've had an incident out the back there. There's Mishra, Bolger, Locke, and I think it's Cox as well back there that's also been involved. But at the front line, Mitch leads. Lachlan Locke's still around, Mishra's recovering, and Redmond also involved in that. So full start from him. There was another car involved in that, or perhaps no, I'm just having a look here on the replay. It's actually a separate incident. He ran to the back of, I think that's Devonish, and then he's into the tyre bundle at turn 1. So unfortunately for him, he's well down the field, and he's got his pits, his pit crew are getting ready. So he may unfortunately see him in the pits, but he is continuing on for now.
So Lion Mitch leads us through onto Seaside Way, and then it is Hans. Oh no, there's been a crash in the background. That's Wayne Spencer.
Oh,
he's tapped the wall, and he's collected by Burko, almost collected by Rhodey. There's a splay across the track to try and avoid the recovering Spencer, but it was just a little tap on the tyres that sent him around there.
Yeah, ran just a little bit too wide. Burko is waiting for the field to go by, so disaster for Burko and Redmond as well. So to the back of the field they go. Also saw Lion Mitch sort of warp off into the
ether there.
Into the ether, but he's returned back and he will lead lap 1 with a comfortable 9/10 gap over Brenton Foley. Had a fantastic start. Hans, he stays in 3rd place with Devonish up 2 spots and Rosella down 4 as Devonish looks to make a little move into turn 2, but not quite close enough.
Yeah, that's your top 5 kind of separated themselves from the rest of the field. Then it's Brendan Ross, Dwayne Davies, Noah Turra, Steve Bolger, Greg Turra is your top 10. Bolger recovering very nicely from his indiscretion in the first main straight. And then John McDonald up 7 spots is into 11th. We've had a spin in the fountain. It's Mike Coulston. His driver's left on the edge of the fountain section, and he's going to be waiting for the rest of the field to pass him by.
Yeah, cut to a replay and see what happened there. So he had Wayne Spencer having a look up the inside at turn 2. And I don't know if there was a bit of lag or if he just outbroke himself. Or perhaps he got served. It's hard to say because there was a little bit of lag there that made it difficult to tell. Got Burko in the pits and Redmond as well as Locke all in the pits repairing damage. So shame for those guys, but they stick with it. They'll have slightly better tyres than the rest of the field, so we might see them move up later on in the race.
So I'm going to bring us back to the top 3 here. The battle for third is particularly interesting, with Devonish trying to take a big bite out of Hans Brunswick's rear bumper and almost getting swallowed himself by Luke Rosello as they come down the main straight to start lap 2. Rosello's much closer to the rear of Devonish this time around and is shaping up maybe to have a dive, not quite, as that's Lachlan Locke just coming out of the pits as these guys go past. So there's going to be lap traffic already on lap 3.
It's going to be a little bit awkward, especially in the area that they're catching them in.
And Lachlan's done the right thing there and just kind of waited for a gap in traffic. So well done to Locke.
Smart driving. So see Devonish getting it very, very sideways on the exit there. Rosella also now getting it sideways as they go on a little roller coaster thing there.
Ooh, very wide from Rosella there, taking an extremely wide line off of Seaside Boulevard as they come through onto Seaside Way. Not to get those two confused.
And he's grazed the barrier on the exit there. It won't cost him anything in terms of damage, but as we've seen so far in this lap, using all the road and, well, just a little bit extra as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be chancing that too often, even though it is just a 13-lap race. You wouldn't want to make too many glances at the wall as the field compresses up into the final hairpin and then accordions out down the straight. Hans, he's doing a decent enough job of holding behind Devonish and Rosella and getting a great run out of that final corner to sort of kill the move before it can really get started. As Will tries to go a little defensive this time with Rosella in his wheel tracks, but no one brave enough to make the dive this time around.
I think it's really helpful for Hans that he's got Rosella trying to pass Devonish at the same time, especially in key areas where Devonish, instead of keeping his eyes forward, looking to make a move, he's also got to keep his eyes peeled on his mirrors as well, because if he doesn't get it right, he's going to lose a position to Rosella, and he's going to have to do it the hard way and pass 2 cars instead of 1.
Devonish looks really strong through the first sector though, and he's all over the back of Hans's car this time around. In fact, he's got the swapper on, taking the inside line. He's going to do a dive into turn 8 here and gets it done very nicely, does Will Devonish.
He's got a poor exit though. He's got a poor exit. We're going to see Hans just send it back up the inside here.
They head down underneath each of the bridges. Hans gets on the brakes, takes the inside line back, and gets the move done. Devonish actually got a bit of a swapper on there, so he's not had the run that he needs out to make the move back. Is he going to send it? No, he doesn't. So protects his position to Rosella, but doesn't protect his position to Hans. And in fact, got a shocking run out of the hairpin that time around, and Rosella is right in his wheel tracks.
Might see Rosella try and send it up the inside. Will we see Will move to the inside to defend? No, not really. So Rosella up the inside. Can he pull it up? Quite comfortably. Will didn't really fight that too hard.
And Hans tagged the wall there on the exit. He hit the tyres, so he's lost any buffer that he had over the pair of them going through that section. And now he's got Rosella coming. There's a yellow flag just ahead. And that's Avenger Ben, who's just spun ahead of the leaders. So I thought that was one of the leaders there who'd caused the yellow flag. So very excitable there for me. But everyone's managed to sneak through. And in fact, Rosella's trying to sneak through on Hans into turn 6.
And it's compromised his exit just a little bit as Will very, very sideways on the exit as well. I know it's only 13 laps, but with 2 times tyre wear around here, you don't want to lean on your rear tyres too much because traction is vital around here. Another sort of battle of note is between Bolger and Noah Tara for 7th place. They're quite close together. Also got Foley right behind Lime Mitch as well. But what will be interesting to see is if Wayne Spencer and Greg Tara can just edge closer and try and nick an 8th place towards the end of the race. Because that 8th place, of course, in the second race of course, is reversed up into first place. So 8th place is more important than you think.
That's kind of the little cutoff point. In fact, Bulger's actually got a run on Antara here to make that 8th place, well, sorry, that 7th place his. They're going side by side down Seaside Boulevard, and while Noah's got the inside line, I'm not quite sure if he's going to be brave enough under brakes. And Bulger gets through and makes that position his. So 7th for Bulger, 8th for Noah Toro, so he doesn't lose out too badly. But as we get past the halfway point in this race very shortly, that 8th position is going to become much greater scrutinized. As Foley's gone around from 2nd position. He's come out of turn 6 and he's spun it. It got way too hard on the power and he's lost out in that battle between himself and Lime Mitch. He's dropped down just to 5th place and he's got a little bit of a buffer over Dwayne Davies. But Foley there with a big mistake, and that's going to cost him.
He's sideways again, so he's obviously used up a lot of his rear tyres. Didn't collect the wall on the inside. That was all just getting on the power a little bit too harshly there. And around he goes from 2nd and challenging for the lead to down in 5th. He'll be hoping the battle between Hans, Rosella and Devonish continues. Lime Mitch now can just coast a little bit, save his tyres. And in fact, the end of the hairpin there, the battling between Rosella and Devonish has enabled Brunswick just to eke out a little bit of a gap here. As once again, Devonish, Rosella side by side into 2.
Rosella has the inside line there. It does take a little bit of curb, and Devonish quite hard on the power there on the exit, and yeah, loses just a little bit of room to allow Rosella to come through. Hans has been consistently great in that final sector. That's where he gained all of that time on the rest of the field in qualifying, and he's just done enough time and time again to get away from those he's been battling against out of that hairpin to keep that little bit of airspace to protect against the move into turn 1. So Hans has done very well to protect himself and keep that what is now 2nd place, while Rosella and Will are battling behind.
And what we've seen so far as well, he's been a bit smoother than both Rosella and Devonish as well. So we may see him be a lot better on his tyres towards the end here. We may see him just hold on a little bit better, even though he might not have the outright pace of Rosella. He might just have slightly better tyres at the end of this race, which will enable him to hold on to 2nd.
Exactly right. Just as a bit of an update, we've lost Brendan Ross somewhere in the mix. He's the one and so far only DNF of this race. As Foley's had another big moment in the car park, and he's almost taken out Dwayne Davies as he's returned to the racing line. So a big slide for Foley in the car park, and he's now dropped down to 6th position.
Just lost it on turn-in, so I'm saying I think he's just cooked his rear tyres here, and yeah, a bit awkward there, but there's nothing either he or Davies can do about it. But there's a position, got Bagacino coming out the pits, and he's got a drive there. That's Hans, he's made a mistake, and he's in the fence at turn 2 on the exit there, so talking him up, and he's made a mistake and is now down to 4th place. So yeah, just come in too hot. Lost the rear. Oh, there's contact with Rosella as well, and a big win has been Devonish. So Devonish now up into 2nd, and Rosella, well, he's got his work cut out to catch back up and overtake Devonish. That said, he's all kinds of sideways himself. So who knows what's going to happen in these final 5 laps with these guys struggling with their tyres.
And Hans looks very vulnerable as well. He hasn't quite gotten back up to speed yet. So that battle between Davies and Foley is coming very close to the back of Hans Brunswick's car at the moment. And that's going to incentivize even Bulger and Noah Toro to have a look. Maybe even Wayne Spencer as we get towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Wayne Spencer about 3.6 behind Tara at the moment. He has been slowly edging closer. We've got yellows out once again.
I think that's a lapped car. That's Manuel Santino, who's gone heavy into the hairpin there.
Yeah, he's just waiting for these cars to go by. As that was Davies very sideways out of the hairpin, and Foley and Davies, they're going to be dragging all the way down to turn 2.
Foley around the outside it will have to be if he's going to make this move into 5th. He's a bit braver on the brakes and gets it done. Well done, Foley. So he's back up into 5th place, looking to catch on to Brunswick next, who's actually managed to escape a little bit. So disregard everything I was saying earlier.
And once again, the gap between Noah Tara and Wayne Spencer's come down again on that last lap. So it is inside, on math serves me right, it is inside was inside 3 seconds for a moment there. So he's closing in, and another penalty for Bagacino. Just speeding in the pits, I'm going to assume. And Rosella is slowly inching back towards Devonish as well at the front. Limich leading comfortably. Those early battles and that great start serving him well. So the next big battle is going to be, I think, Dwayne Davies, Steve Bolger, Noah Tara, and I reckon we'll see Wayne Spencer edge onto the back of this pack if they continue to battle.
It'll certainly offer an invitation if these guys continue to battle. Remember, Wayne Spencer was involved with a little bit of the earlier race, Malaki, so he's dropped down from his starting position, down 1 place, and he'll be looking for that 8th place as well, because remember, we've already made mention of it once or twice tonight, that we'll see him move to the front of the field in the second race this evening if he manages to get 8th.
Sorry to cut you off. He had Foley at turn 2 go very, very deep. I thought for a moment he was actually going to end up in the fence, but he's pulled it up. But that's enabled Davies just to close in a little bit more.
So this is where the real intrigue is going to be. Davies, Bolger, and Foley, if he keeps making mistakes. Foley does have a very tail-happy driving style, doesn't he? We've noticed this in GT3 and to an extent in the supercars. Does like to get the rear sideways and use a little bit of his rear tyre as he does it again. Wonder how much that might come back to bite him either this race or maybe in the feature race coming up later tonight.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna pay dividends. You've got to be really smooth in these cars, and you've got to look after those rear tyres with the engine right at the back. And with the nature of these cars and tyres, you've got to be smooth. You can't slide the rear out too much. Otherwise, later on in races, you do get punished for it. So he's struggling at the moment because we probably expect him to drive away from Dwayne Davies and Steve Bolger, but I don't think he's got any rear tyres left. As we've seen all race long, he's been sideways, and he's losing lap time at the end as a result.
And remember as well, he's had those 2 or 3 moments, including one major spin, which has probably not helped his rear tyres at all. So he's still heading up that battle group. He's got a little bit of an air gap. It's just around a second as he does a little bit of a slide impression there, and again into the fountain as well. So he's really not looking comfortable, even though he's managing to keep that battle behind him.
And Davies is sideways through the fountain as well. That gave Bolger a little bit of a look, but he was also balked at the same time because he's a little bit too close. Noah Tara's just dropped off the back of them a little bit. We've also got Wayne Spencer. He is coming, and he'll need to find a little bit extra pace-wise to catch them at the end, but with these guys battling and struggling for tyres, I think we could see him right there in the battle as well, as Bolger has a look up the inside. Davies struggling on the outside, but he'll have to slightly better run and hold on for now.
It was an opportunistic look from Bolger, but I don't quite think there was ever enough room for him to make the move there, so he stays back behind. That battle has not really seen too much action, even though they've been basically nose to tail the past 5 laps, but with these guys coming through the hairpin to start 2 laps remaining for this group, the opportunity is going to run out very shortly.
Certainly is. We've also had Rosella. He's caught back up to the back of Devonish. It's only 1.2 seconds as of the start-finish line. Looks a little bit less than that now. So we'll see a battle for second place. A little bit of lap traffic in their way. Looks like Burko and Bagacino. Looks like Burko getting out of the way nicely there for these guys. Won't hinder them at all. Also had Lion Mitch in that last sector lose a bit of time to these two as well. So perhaps a slight mistake or lap traffic for him. But he's got a comfortable lead. He can just cruise. But Will Devonish certainly can't. And Dwayne Davies certainly can't. Foley at the moment, he's edged away as he's slide sideways, but Davies, yeah, he's got his hands full, but thankfully for him, there's not too long to go.
Bagacino did end up getting out of the way of Devonish and Rosella to let them resume their fight through the hairpin now as we come to start the final lap of the first race of the Antara Boxer Cup. So Lion Mitch comes across the line with a 6-second advantage over Will Devonish and Luke Rosella. They're separated by less than a second on this final lap. and then it's Hans Brunswick with a bit of a gap front and back, and then Brenton Foley, and then this battle that we've been keeping an eye on, Dwayne Davies and Steve Bolger. Noah Taro is just behind them, and then it is Wayne Spencer. So Spencer not quite within striking distance for that 8th place at the moment, but at the front it's still Lime Mitch, quite comfortable, and it looks like Will might have enough to hold off Rosella rather, as we go through to the second sector.
He's just going to have to take it a little bit easy on the exit of corners to make sure he doesn't just loop it. His tyres will be second hand, almost third hand at this stage of the race. And yeah, it does have about half a second over Rosella. Only a couple more acceleration zones to really worry about. He's out of that one okay. And now there's, well, don't bowl it into the next braking zone, and then it's, again, you don't want to loop it coming out of the hairpin.
Oh no, Dwayne Davies has gone around! He's gone around from 5th place, 6th place, he's down to 8th now, he's dropped out to 9th. So Davies on the last lap has lost that position and will drop out of the reverse grid slots. Well, no.
Well, that's Wayne Spencer's birthday and Christmas present right there, as we look at Lime Mitch, who's crossed the line and the first winner of the season, followed by Will Devenish, who holds on to second, Rosella in third, and then Brunswick will cross the line in 4th place. He'll be ruining that error he made, but still a very solid 4th place for him. Brenton Foley in 5th. He stretched away from that battle pack behind him. Bolger will finish 6th. Noah Tara in 7th. And Spencer recovering to finish where he started. But that was quite a bit of an adventure for him with the incident early on. Late error from Davies sees him drop from, I think it was 6th place to 9th. Greg Tara crossed the line in 10th. Darren Kemp, really good effort from him in 11th spot. And Daniel Cox will cross the line in 12th.
13th is John McDonald, an impressive drive for him there. Ujit Mishra to come across the line in 14th place for the Singapore Airlines car. Next will be the battle between Termo and Rhodey. They've been engaged in battle quite some time. In the shot there is Lachlan Locke, who is a lap down. He'll cross the line in 19th. Then it is Termo, then Rhodey, then Bagacino down in 20th. And then it looks like we've had Burko, Redmond, and Locke finish to round out your top 20.
Yeah, so we only had, well, we had 3 retirements. Brendan Ross, Manuel Centeno, Mike Coulson all retiring. So we didn't actually catch what happened right at the end there for Coulson. And what was the second retirement there? That was Manuel
Ross
Centeno.
And Centeno, yeah. I think Centeno found himself parked up at the end of the hairpin and then just decided to give it away as opposed to try and cut across. I found when you crash these cars, you can find punctures and wheels falling off a lot easier than you can in some other series. So that's definitely a concern if you have a big one here. But in the end, Lime Mitch, a very impressive, almost untroubled race once Brenton Foley had his mistake. And yeah, very clean first race of the season for him.
Yeah, faultless drive. Got away from the start perfectly, led into turn 1, and then I think he was aided early on by the battle behind him with Hans, Will Devenish, and of course Luke, all battling it out there for second. Well, sorry, no, he was actually troubled earlier on, my mistake. He did have Foley behind him for the first couple of laps there, but he held his nerve early on, and then once Foley obviously dropped it, it was he could take it a little bit easier and was never headed. So really good drive, and yeah, it has to be said, faultless. So perfect start to his season, but now he's got to start from 8th, and it's got a little bit of traffic in front of him to deal with.
Yeah, that is going to be a challenge for this feature race. So it will be 19 laps this time around, so another third on top of what we already saw tonight. So if anyone finished that race with orange or red tires, they're going to be in for a struggle for the second race this evening. I also think the fact that Devenish, Rosella, and Hans were engaged in their own battles definitely gave Lime a bit more of a breathing room, especially after all of them suffered little incidents themselves. So that 5-second gap could have been 2 or 3 seconds had the group behind not been battling and making mistakes against each other. So yeah, it worked out very nicely for him in the end. But let's see if he can come through the field as easily as he can lead away.
Yeah, certainly. He's been quite good at that at Super 2, but he also does make it a little bit difficult for himself as well by making some contact. So it will be a good test, but the level of this field is a little bit higher than in Super 2. So he's done a really good job to take the first win of the season, but now not only is it just a straight sprint, you got to think a little bit in this one. Do you drive a little bit harder and hope your tyres hold on, or perhaps even pit? Or do you just drive it a little bit more conservatively and plan to not pit? That is the big question.
Did you, as one of the admins of this series, design the feature race to be right on the edge of the tire capabilities of the Boxer Cup cars? Or is that just a happy little accident?
It's in a way it's a happy little accident. It was designed that the endurance round would be like that. It would be right on the threshold, but it's turned out that depending on the track, the feature race also is going to be like that. So it's worked out. There was initially going to be compulsory pit stops for the feature race, but it decided to drop that. And in the end, I think it's going to make for a lot more intriguing racing where, we could see people no stop and we could see people stop. So around here, with that long, long pit lane, if you can make your tyres work, you will probably be in the box seat.
Yeah, I will 100% agree with that. I think Long Beach is the longest pit lane in the world because it's got of course, the IndyCar paddock and the IMSA paddock. Unless you count the likes of the Gold Coast pit lane as well, which we are going to in this series, as a matter of fact. So yeah, you'd lose an absolute bucket load of time in the pit lane here, as opposed to some other circuits that you might lose a little less just through transiting the pit lane. Yeah. So if I had the choice tonight, I would try not to make a pit stop.
Yeah, but in the end, it does come down to how well you treat your tyres. So, but yeah,
I think I might turn up the traction control for this second race if I had it off in the first one.
well, people do like to think that that does actually help, but turning up traction control doesn't actually necessarily help all that much. So we'll see. It's more down to how you use that right foot of yours, and perhaps even the roll bars if you're maybe a little bit softer or stiffer
Oh.
in that case. But I'm just going to set up the grid. So just bear with us for a little minute. We'll just take a short couple minute break, but we shall be back soon. Alrighty, and welcome back to the Automobilist Australia Boxer Cup / the Antara Boxer Cup. I keep mixing it all up, but Floody, an intriguing race 1, and I think we're going to see a further intriguing race 2. A little bit longer, 19 laps, and tyre wear we saw in just 13 laps was a bit of a stretch for a lot of guys. 19 laps, how do you reckon some of these guys are going to fare?
I think it's going to add another dimension, which is going to be strategy. We've made mention that we can get into a bit of a tortoise and the hare argument here, where if you conserve a little bit more at the beginning, you might have a little bit more to fight with later, or you might be able to avoid a pit stop. But I think there's going to be some that might not be able to avoid a pit stop just based on their driving style. But it should throw us up a few questions late in the race to see who's got what it takes to keep the tyres together for the later part of the race. It's certainly going to be an interesting race 2 tonight.
Certainly is, and battles I reckon are going to be vitally important. You're going to see some people just fall into the old habit, there's a car in front of me, I've got to pass it no matter what, and there might be some other people out there that are going to be like, no, you can overtake me sir, I'll get you a little bit later on when you either pit or your tyres are canvas. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. 3 minutes to go in the warm-up. I'm sure some drivers probably trying out some different driving styles to find out ways where they can just save that little bit of extra tyre that they're going to need if they want to no-stop this race. Yeah,
and while it's all well and good to talk about the tyres being a major factor here, which is the truth, also track position is going to play a factor. We saw a few abortive moves last race. I think Burko and Dwayne Davies, that was a battle that went down to the wire, not because of what eventually happened to Dwayne, but because Burko had a few nibbles but couldn't quite sort it out. We saw Hans defend very, very well by getting a great run out of the hairpin. So you might see some of those guys who are a bit more confident making moves, maybe elect to hate tyres and try and run people down, whereas those who are more comfortable with track position and with their defense might spring a surprise result.
Yeah, I do expect to see 1 or 2 names that we don't normally see towards the front. We may see a few of those names just creep up as probably don't use their tyres quite as much, and they decide to take a chance and no stop it. So that's something to look out for. Did have a brute in the chat asking how race 1 went. Well, race 1 was an intriguing battle early on between Lime Mitch and Brenton Foley. Both of them getting fantastic starts and leading away, with Rosella having a poor start, dropping from was pole position down to I think 5th place.
Yeah.
But eventually Foley and his aggressive driving style caught him out. Lime Mitch was able to pretty much just take it easy to the end of the race, but the big intriguing battle was for 2nd place after that, with Hans doing a good job for the majority of the race but losing out, making a mistake at turn 2, which also blocked Rosella after he'd finally gotten past Will Devonish, and then Hans dropped down to 5th, with Devonish moving back up to 2nd, and then Rosella trying to close him down but couldn't quite do so towards the end there. And we did have that really intriguing battle for the final of the reverse grid placings, with Bolger, Dwayne Davies, Brenton Foley for a little bit before he broke away, as well as Wayne Spencer right at the end there due to Dwayne Davies' mistake stealing that final 8th place. So Wayne Spencer, he'll start from the front row and from pole position in this one. Can he hold on to it is the big question.
Oh, well, I think you will know of Wayne's defensive driving efforts more than anyone in this server after his great battle with you at Donington Park in the GT3 World Challenge. Do you still get nightmares of the rear of that AF Corsa Ferrari?
Yes, I do every now and again, and I think in future I might just drive straight through him so I don't have to put up with it and just wear the penalty later on, I think.
Yeah, the Will Devonish strategy.
But yeah, it will be difficult for those guys to get by. So I reckon the start, as we saw in race 1, is actually going to be quite crucial. I know you don't like to say you might win or lose the race at turn 1, and you don't lose the win the race at turn 1, but it may actually be the case if you can just get ahead, have a little bit of gap to the cars behind, you can just take it a little bit easier and set yourself up later on in the race a lot better than, say, if you're a little bit further back and battling people. So,
it's sorry to jump in over the top here, but it's going to be quite intriguing that our front row is Wayne Spencer, who we've briefly talked about his defending driving, and Noah Tara coming off of a great defensive drive in the GT3 Sprint Cup to a second place at Okayama last week. So that front row, if they are able to get through the first corner 1 and 2, is going to be a frustrating pair for the likes of Brenton Foley, Steve Bolger, Will Devonish to come through and pass.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be difficult, but that's why I said the start is going to be crucial for those guys. If they sort of stay stagnant there in sort of the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th positions, it's going to be difficult as the race goes on. In fact, they may even come under a little bit of attack from cars behind. So we did see Davies, he did make a mistake towards the end of the race, but he wasn't particularly slow either. So if you see some of those guys in the midfield get a good start, could see those guys that should be running at the front of the field, at least based on pace, could see them struggling quite a bit, and they may have to completely change up their strategy as the race goes on.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, there's a group of cars who you would certainly expect to be at the front who are a ways down the grid. Steve Burko, Tim Redmond, 2 high-profile incidents in the first race. Also, the likes of Brendan Ross, first retirement from last race, down in 24th for the second race. So he'll have his work cut out for to come through the field in the feature race tonight.
Yeah, he'll certainly be hoping for no issues in this one. I wasn't quite sure what happened to him. Perhaps internet dramas. I know the last couple of months he hasn't had the best internet out where he's been living. So he used to be able to host servers and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't remember who he's with. Maybe even Telstra. He's been struggling of late. So hopefully his dramas go away and he's able to get some points on the board. And hopefully see some fantastic racing up and down the field. And hopefully we don't have an accident before turn 2 this time. So hopefully drivers just leave a little bit extra space and a little bit more care, and everybody can get through the first lap safely.
Field looks like it's mostly gridded up for the feature race, and the cars are about to roll out on their warm-up lap. Pole position for the second race this evening is Wayne Spencer, coming off his 8th place last race. Then it is Noah Tara in second. Steve Bolger comes out of third. Brenton Foley in the W&W Racing car is out of 4th. It is Hans Brunswick, Luke Rosella, Will Devonish, and last race winner Lime Mitch is your top 8 positions.
And then we have Dwayne Davies in 9th. He'll be kicking himself over that late error, but he's got a chance to redeem himself here in race. So he starts 9th. Greg Tara, he'll be hoping to steer clear of trouble in this one as well. So look for him to work his way forward. He starts 10th. Darren Kemp, a great result for him in 11th place. Nice and consistent. Daniel Cox, after early woes, finishing in 12th. Then we have John McDonald in the Hooters liveried car for Turn Right to Go Left Motorsport, which is a difficult name to say. He'll start 13th. Ujit Mishra in the Singapore Airlines car will start 14th. Termo will start in 15th in the Castrol car, so a lot of rivalry between Steve Bolger and Termo, with oil companies throwing some barrels at each other, I'm sure, between races. Then we have Rody starting from 16th. And Termo had a nice battle towards the end of the race. Burko, he'll be hoping to avoid a bit of the carnage this time out and move forward in this one. Same with Tim Redmond. He started, I believe, in 5th place on the grid, but a mistake early on saw him drop all the way to the back of the field. So look out for him as this race progresses, because he should definitely not be 18th. Lachlan Locke in 19th. Followed by Bagacino, Avenger Ben, Mike Coulson in 22nd, one of the retirements, and Manuel Centino and Brendan Ross, the last of the retirements. He'll start in 24th for the feature race.
So as Brendan Ross is coming into the car park area of the circuit now, the front of the field is already shaping up onto the grid. Wayne Spencer and Noah Tara taking up their positions on the front row for this feature race. 19 laps to round off tonight's action. Lewis, any predictions, do you think?
Well, just like race 1, I cannot... I know I'm sitting on the fence, but I really cannot predict what's going to happen in this one. I expect one of the faster guys starting sort of in that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th range to get a decent start and move ahead. But even so, they've got some cars to pass and some battling to do in this one, which could throw a spanner in the works.
I'll say one of Lime Mitch and Lewis Wedding is going to end up in the podium. The other one's going to crash. Lights out and away we go. And we've got a race control penalty for Bagacino missing the start, but it's not Noah Taro who gets a great start on the inside of the first corner. He's going to take the lead through to the first corner quite comprehensively. Brendan Foley around the outside of Wayne Spencer as that's Hans tries to have a look on the inside. Everyone seems to get through a little cleaner than last time. There's a little bit of bumping and barging, but it's Noah Taro who leads us away.
Yeah, so it looks like we're through turn 2 fairly cleanly, but looks like McDonald off in the background. He's stuck at the garden, at the fountain, but he's let the field go. And Tara into the lead, Foley up into third, Brunswick fourth, Rosella fifth, followed by Bolger, Devonish and Lime Mitch, who's gone nowhere. But just like race 1, seems like the car on the inside to turn 1 has a slight advantage because they've both moved into the lead in both races. So good start from Tara, but he's had a little bit of a slide, maybe in fact actually been a little bit of lag, just ahead of Wayne Spencer, who's got Brenton Foley to deal with. And I reckon it's going to be vital for Foley if he wants to win this one to clear these two as quickly as possible. But as we know, myself from personal experience, it's going to be difficult to get past Spencer.
I was just umming and ahhing in the background of Lime Mitch going around the outside of turn 9 to get past Will Devonish. He's into 7th place now as they were both trying to get past Bolger, but it's Noah Taro who leads us across to start lap 2. Wayne Spencer, Brendan Foley, Hans Brunswick and Luke Rosella is your top 5. Luke Rosella looking very racy at the moment, takes a big dive towards the inside of turn 1 and gets the move done very nicely. He holds that position and gets it stopped. So he's now into 4th place. Hans down into 5th.
Now, I know Hans has done quite a bit of practice, and we did see him in the test race. He was one of the few that elected to try and no stop. He ran out of tyres at the end, but I don't think we'll see him fight too hard. I think we'll see him drive the car nice and straight, while we might see some others out here that haven't done as much practice, going to try and push hard as we've got Bolger going defensive with Lime Mitch up the inside. But Bolger holds on for now, so look out for that later on in the race. You may see Hans drop away early on, but towards the end, in a good position.
Someone who is looking racy at the moment is Luke Rosella. He's again gone around the outside of Brenton Foley down Seaside Way. They're running side by side into the car park. And it is
Spencer making a move. I thought he was going to T-bone Noah Tara there, but Tara holding firm, no contact made, so good hard racing. And Rosella did get up into 3rd place. Foley going to try the old switcheroo, but it's very difficult to do at that very tight hairpin as Hans gets a little bit sideways. Further back, Lime Mitch has made his way ahead of Bolger, and he's got Will Devonish for company. A little bit further back, we've got Kemp, Tara, Mishra, Burko, and one of the FCR cars all closely packed together.
Yeah, that's a crazy moves further back. Lime Mitch ran around the outside of Bolger in the car park there. There's this group of 5 going down
going
inside
3 wide.
Camp. Oh, they just make a little bit of contact, and Greg Tara was the cork in the bottle there, the one that was squeezed between a rock and a hard place, and he's been relegated to the back of that field after contact with both Kemp and Mishra there. So lucky for him that it wasn't a bigger accident. But in the end, I think it's Darren Kemp rather, who holds his 11th position.
And one to look out for is Redmond. He's got a decent run, and he's going to try and get ahead of Turmo here and move his way forward. Shows the nose, not quite close enough. Turmo gives him room. It's going to compromise him on the exit. You may see Redmond just try and send it up the inside of the next corner as well. No, it looks like he's going to try and do it at the next braking zone. But further ahead, Mishra has got ahead of Kemp, and Kemp just holding up his teammate. Well, in fact, his teammate's now side by side with him. So Mishra's just got by Kemp.
Oh, contact for the lead, contact for the lead. Noah Tara and Wayne Spencer have made contact at the hairpin, and they were very lucky that they didn't cause a bigger accident there. In fact, it held up Brenton Foley quite aggressively and allowed Luke Rosella to wrap around the outside of Foley on the exit of the hairpin, and Rosella's going on with it. He's got a run. Did he clip the wall there?
No, he had a little bit of lag spike. We have seen it every now and again with Rosella. His game does lag, and it's not internet lag. When your PC lags, your car freezes in place, and that's what happened there, because he was alongside Spencer, and had he not had that, he probably would be ahead of him going into turn 2. It's cost him a position, but in the end, a big winner out of that contact between Spencer and Tara. We did see on the replay they were side by side for a couple of corners beforehand as well. So Tara looks like he's just holding up Spencer. And this is ideal for those guys further back that may just be playing the conservative game and looking after their tyres, with these guys all battling here at the front.
And you see...
lock up for Tara, and Spencer's going to get him here. Sorry to cut you off. And Rosella might go with him here.
So we're saying Tara has done a good run of defensive driving, 3 wide almost as they go into the car park there. Tara didn't quite give it away. In fact, tried to gas it up around the outside, and that's allowed Spencer to wrap around him. It's easy, even going to lose a position to Rosella in the hairpin. It looks like this time around, very difficult to get the power down if you're on the inside there. So this is going to be a straight drag race down the main straight. And it looks like Tara has actually got the better run as he squeezes Rosella over to the wall and takes the position back. Now can Rosella reply into turn 1? Or a little bit of a look under brakes. There's not really the room there. And what this is doing, this is letting Wayne Spencer just hop away from this group as they battle amongst themselves.
Yeah, this is exactly what Wayne Spencer wants. These guys to battle him just to edge away here, particularly with these very fast cars in behind him. And one can imagine Rosella just being a little bit frustrated, but no one did a really good job just parking his car in the middle of the road, making a nuisance of himself, because Rosella had to commit right to the inside, and he couldn't quite get to the outside to go around the outside either. But a big slide for Tara, and that's going to allow Rosella now to get up the inside for the next corner.
But Noah isn't going to let him go willingly. A little bit of a lag spike there freaked me out a little bit, but he's managed to just take the nose of the Domino's car this time, the Spencer Racing car. And in fact, Foley's going to try and go with Rosella through on Noah. And what this has actually allowed, both Lime Mitch and Will Devonish to jump onto the
Foley up the inside of the hairpin, bit of contact. Lime Mitch up the inside of Hans as well. Both the cars on the inside breaking traction there. Not ideal for the tyres, but Foley having a look, couldn't quite get it done. Same with Lime Mitch, but very, very hot and heavy here at the front.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get the power down as Tara goes defensive. Yeah, to get the power down out of that hairpin, because you've got such a narrow line if you're on the inside there. So the car around the outside gets a much wider apex, and then is able to get on the power much earlier. You kind of get choked up if you're on the inside. So very difficult to make the move there. You almost want to lay off it at the hairpin to get the run and maximize your chance of getting through down the front straight. But this group of 5 here now, Noah Tara, Brendan Foley, Hans Brunswick, Lime Mitch, and Will Devonish, has been dropped by the 2 Spencer Racing cars, not driven by the pair of Spencers this evening, but it is Wayne leading Luke at the moment as the rest of the field comes through with 6 laps into the race.
6 laps in, still 13 laps to go, so the length of a sprint race to go. Foley up the inside. No, I think, he's out, broke himself, and he's going to have to flick turn that around. That's exactly what you don't want to do with these rear tyres in a rear engine car, and that's probably the worst of it. Losing the position is probably not too bad, but wrecking the tyres, not ideal with 13 laps to go. But ideal for Spencer Racing at the moment. 1, 2, and driving away from a battle in 3rd.
And fastest lap of the race has just been given to Luke Rosella, a 21.1, I think it was. He's on the tail of Wayne at the moment, while Noah Tara is under bombardment from Hans Brunswick, who has Lime Mitch and Will Devonish for company. That's not quite the nicest pair of guys to have riding your bumper as they go through turns 4 and 5 onto the second section of track.
Yeah, not ideal. We'll just cycle through the field in a moment. We'll stick with this Noah Tara, Hans Brunswick, Lime Mitch, and Will Devonish battle. Also got Dwayne Davies doing a good job. He's edging closer as well as Tara goes defensive. Hans just missed the apex a little bit, but a slide on the exit is going to compromise Tara. And
that was Dwayne Davies in the background, but Hans has got a great run on Tara this time. Really sized him up on the exit of that corner. Tara squeezes him over as they get to the apex and eventually relinquishes the position, but he wasn't happy about it, was Noah.
He's got to look out for Lion Mitch, though. He was thinking about a run at the hairpin, but just mucked it up, got on the power a little bit too early and had to actually get out of it. So he has to be wary, and he was lucky not to lose 2 spots in one. But yeah, further back, Dwayne Davies now, he's got Steve Bolger right behind him and Foley recovering as well. Daniel Cox up 2 spots. He's having a good run in this one. Burko's up 6 from where he started. Rossi's up to 12th, and he looks like he just got by, I think,
Tim Redmond.
Yeah, I think Redmond made a slight mistake, but he's up 5 spots, and he's just out of position, I think, pace-wise. But he'll hope that a little bit of luck and some pit stops go his way as Ross is off at turn 1. He realised last second, right on board, he realised last second he's going to spear into the fence and just turned it right to avoid it. Yep, come in too hot, locked the brakes, that is smart driving to get out of it and avoid a big accident, and instead he's only going to lose a few positions.
Oh, speaking of losing positions, we've had a change for the lead. Luke Rosella now leads the field over Wayne Spencer, and that's just happened, and it was coming out of turn 5 into turn 6 there that Rosella got the high ground on the inside and managed to make the move. Now he seems to have the pace advantage over Wayne Spencer and has already stretched out a car length and a half at the end of this lap.
They've actually, I haven't got live races up, but it looks like they've actually lost a little bit of ground to Hans Brunswick. So Hans driving along quite nicely at the moment. 23.0 for Rosella, 24.0 for Spencer, and 21.9 for Hans. So
yeah,
his fastest lap of the race, and looking in a good position at the moment with Noah Tara coming under attack from Lion Mitch in behind.
Yeah, so I think Wayne was actually holding Rosella up quite significantly. Rosella quite quickly got onto the back of Spencer once he got through on Noah Tara and was setting quite fast laps. I think 21.2 was the fastest lap of the race that we've had so far. Whereas actually getting past Spencer was quite a difficult thing.
We've got Bolger who's dropped down the field, just going to cut to it. So what has he done? He's made a mistake at turn 2, and he's done what Rossi did. He's had to try and flick turn it, but he's actually done it into the fence there.
Oh no, Rossi. While that was happening, both Devonish and Lion Mitch managed to muscle their way past Noah Tara through turns 5 and 6. Noah Tara got held up on the inside and allowed both of them through. So now Devonish and Mitch are going to resume their battle from earlier, and it's Lion Mitch going defensive into the car park. But they're slowly progressing their way through the field, both up a few positions from the start.
Well, and there's Lion Mitch a little bit wide, and he's going to be on the inside. Devonish is going to try and get that better run on the outside, which drivers seem to get, but he's probably overcommitted to that wide line and lost a little bit of time there to Lion Mitch. That said, he's close enough if he wanted to try a dive, but I think turn 2,
he's got the eyes on. He's had to go to the outside as Lion Mitch takes the inside line, and Lion Mitch pulls it up. There's not really enough room between turn 2 and the fountain to dive down the inside there. So Lion Mitch does a very nice defensive job there. They've got a little bit of space ahead of them now before Hans Brunswick and Wayne Spencer will be their next targets, as we've just crossed the halfway point in the feature race for this evening.
Yeah, so do look for drivers to struggle on their tyres as in the background and see Foley all kinds of sideways coming out. I think that's that turn number.
Oh, no, Tara as well. Very, very sideways coming out of turn 6 there, just as we were coming to the crest of the road. So he was lucky that he didn't tag the wall on the left side there. He's dropped well off the back of Lion Mitch and Will Devonish now.
Yeah, so last couple of laps, I've also seen Redmond move up a couple of spots. He's in 11th, starting to pressurise Burko, and they're slowly catching up to the back of Cox. He's had a quiet race, but he's done a really good job and sits just inside the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, Cox has kept his nose clean in both races. I can't say that I remember mentioning his name much tonight, but he improved in race 1, up 2 positions, and he's up 3 positions in this second race this evening. Very well by just keeping his nose clean. He will be under fire from Steve Burko and Tim Redmond in short order, though. Last lap around for Cox, 23.9 as opposed to a 22.5 for Redmond. So Redmond is making inroads certainly at this stage of the race.
And we've got Rhodey now. He's just left the pits. I don't know if that was due to damage or if he's just decided to take tyres. No one's decided to come in just yet, so everyone's just braving the tyres for now. And, well, the battle between Spencer and Brunswick about to get underway. As Brunswick very wide. They're just grazing the wall, but he's managed to close down the gap. Now half a tenth, I think, faster. Sorry, half a second faster on that last lap than Spencer. But it looks like Spencer's made a slight mistake on this lap because that gap, well, there's nothing between them. And it's the exact same a little bit further down the road between Devonish and Lime Mitch.
And they're just going to come across Avenger Ben, who's had an accident at the end of that straight. He's managed to sneak off of the racing line, which is very nice of him. Just coming into the pits now. So this battle now between Hans and Wazza Spencer is of great interest. Rosella has a 4-second gap at the head of the field. And then it is this battle, which is just under half a second. And then the next battle on track is Lime Mitch and Will Devonish. Mitch just stretching out a little bit of an advantage over Devonish. I wonder if that might be a bit of a tyre discrepancy, or just both of them electing not to battle and try and reel in those guys ahead instead of wasting their tyre life.
Perhaps a little bit of column A and column B there, I reckon. Just a little bit of conservative driving. Have had Foley just get by Dwayne Davies there into turn 2. And a little bit further back, Redmond has got by Burko as well. So Redmond, a man on the move. And, well, both Burko and Redmond now very, very close to the back of Daniel Cox in the Anson Motorsports boxer.
I think it would be good here for Burko just to tag onto the rear of Redmond and just use him as a pig to carry his way through the field, very sideways from both of them out of that corner.
Last couple of times I've seen Burko on the broadcast, he's been, well, to quote Mark Scaife, right out sideways. So he's been using up those rear tyres. Might come back to bite him towards the end. So it might be, smart as you say, just to sort of back up behind Redmond for a bit. Try and use Cox as a little bit of a pick and save your tyres for a little bit later on in the race. So just might as well go a little bit further back in the field as well. Mishra is up 2 spots into 12th. He's got Tara, who's gone backwards in this one. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the passenger door on his car on the right hand side there, as well as on the driver's side door. So he's had a couple little incidents and dings, so that's why he finds himself down in 13th place. They've got a bit of a gap over Kemp. He's still holding on to 14th place with Bolger right behind him. Also got Termo a lap down, as well as Brendan Ross, Mike Coulston, Baccacino, Avenger Ben and Lachlan Locke, as well as we cut to McDonald down in 16th. He's had a spin and he's got some cars bearing down on him, but it looks like he's going to get going again, thankfully. So we have, looks like, got a few people that have decided to pit. Obviously a very, very long pit lane here, so we will see drivers go a lap down. But they're hoping it'll pay dividends later on. As in the background there, Mitch, very, very sideways, immediately defensive, and that's going to force Devonish to try and go around the outside.
And they're going to be very, very close coming into turn 9 there. Devonish not quite able to hang the outside line, and Lime Mitch takes that position. They got Lachlan Locke to contend with. Just as they come into the hairpin, Lachlan very, very close. In fact, that forces Will Devonish wide, and they actually made contact there, Devonish and Locke. Because Locke got hung up on the wall there.
I actually thought there was contact between Lime Mitch and Locke there, and Will just got his line on. We'll just cut to a replay of that. But yeah, just very, very awkward with lap traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devonish just running a little bit wide. There may have been a little bit of contact between Lime Mitch and the traffic. So we've got yellows out in the first sector again.
Right, it's Lachlan Locke again, who clamps down on Noah Toro in the first sector. And he's
made
taken out Foley.
With Foley and Davies in the back there just waiting patiently. And now he's just sort of parked on the exit of the garden there. So very, very awkward. I'll just right on board Foley on this replay just to figure out what happened. I reckon a little bit of damage on that Lachlan Locke car. The front end's all crumpled in, and yeah, there wasn't really too much he could do there. Just a very awkward part of the track for lap traffic.
Yeah, it's one of those skills that you need to learn over time. Getting past is as difficult sometimes as passing, especially when you're in a situation like this where it's a cramped track and you've got the leaders coming through. Just one of those inexperienced things, I think. But he has actively split up those battles there between Noah Tara, Brennan Foley, Dwayne Davies, and the likes of Will Devonish and Liam Mitch as well. It's certainly affected their chances of running down the podium, as we've got a yellow flag in turn 1. That is for
one of the guest cars.
That would be Manuel Santino or Avenger Ben. Avenger Ben it is in the end, who's gone down the escape road. I just want to bring us back up, sorry to interrupt you there, to the battle for second place between Wayne Spencer and Hans Brunswick. Now they've been joined by Termo, who's just tacked onto the rear of them as he's come out of the pits. Now Hans and Wayne have been battling this close the past 3 or 4 laps, and Hans is looking like he's trying a few different things here to try and maybe put Wayne Spencer off or get a better run onto the back end of the circuit. But Wayne's done a very good job of his runs out of turn 8 and out of the hairpin to really cut off the passing opportunities for Hans as they're coming through now.
Hans very deep. Really, he's pulled it up, so good move, but Spencer's going to try and hold on around the outside, around the penultimate corner here. And he will have the inside for the hairpin. Hans will try and probably go with the old switcheroo. And
gets the cut back.
It's going to be neck and neck. One thing to note, of course, Termo's sticking with them because he's pitted. He's on fresh tyres. He's probably faster than both of them at this stage, but he doesn't want to get involved in the battle. But they're going to go side by side now through turn 2.
Wayne Spencer has the inside line and is able to defend, as we made mention before, not really long enough between turn 2 and the fountain to chuck it up.
He's made a mistake.
There, but he's a little bit of a mistake there. And they play on yet again.
Yeah, a little bit of contact. A little bit of contact between the two, I reckon. So neither of them are going to catch Rosella. He's 8 seconds down the road, so without a mistake, you'd expect Rosella to bring it home. 15 laps completed. These tyres very second hand. But Brunswick looking very racy, and it's looking further and further. More likely that he's going to get the job done, but running wide like that is certainly not going to help his chances.
Yeah, a little tag on the wall there for Hans. We said that you don't want to chance that too often, especially in these cars, which the radiator really shoots the temperature up if you make contact with the front of the car too often. So can get a little challenging over a longer race like this one. Wayne Spencer didn't quite get the best of runs out of the final corner that time around, and maybe Hans can have a go this time. He's got a little bit of a view inside. There's a bit of an overlap this time around. Now, can he be the braver one on the brakes? Wayne's done a great job in positioning his car, though, and takes that position back. In the background, we saw a similar deal between Liam Mitch and Will Devonish, but they've gone on their merry way as well. So 3 laps remaining in this one tonight. Wayne has certainly done a great job defending from the likes of Hans Brunswick and earlier Luke Rosella. Is he going to be able to hold on for second place this evening is going to be the question on everyone's minds.
He's done a fantastic job so far, it has to be said. Hans has thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at him.
Got Greg Turra, who's decided to take a dip into the fountain, and he's stuck. He's stuck. He's stuck on the garden bed. He's
beached it. So, and he can't get his rear wheels onto the ground, and he's stuck. So, he may have to non-finish that. We've also had a change for position between Liam Mitch and Will Devonish, although Liam's going to try and go around the outside here, coming through the penultimate corner. Will holds on for now. Again, Liam Mitch is going to try and go around the outside at the hairpin. The old switcheroo. He's going to try it, but it's just too long and too slow of a hairpin, really, to try and get a switch back to work. And you're almost better off sticking to the outside and just getting that better drive.
Well, he's going to try for a run on the inside of turn 1 this time. Down to
we got yellows out. We got yellows out. He can't pass. So we'll just try and see what the go is there.
The yellow flag is for Greg Turra as well. So he might need a little bit of help there to get that car out. I'm not sure if you caught it on replay, but he basically went suplex into the fountain there.
He's slowly moving and then he's warped again. So I think he's probably better off just pulling the plug. I don't think he's going to get out there. So unfortunate for Greg. But yeah, he's beached there at the moment. Rosella continues to streak away in the out front, but the question remains: who's going to finish second, and can Lion Mitch get Will Devonish back?
Just want to make a quick shout out to Tim Redmond, now up 10 places from his starting position in a battle with Dwayne Davies. He's just wrapped around the front of the number 55 FCR car to take that position, up into 8th place. So well done, Tim Redmond, on a great performance in the second race tonight.
It will be interesting with a couple laps to go. He has got Foley and Tara battling in front of him, how quick he is. And perhaps a little bit of a helping hand. He might squeeze up to the back of that. It is a fair task, but you never know. Had Rosella lose 2 seconds on that last lap as once again we got Tara still beached in the in the fountain there, but we're on the final lap.
I think maybe Rosella has realised that he's got enough gap behind him to safely make conserve whatever he needs to make it to the line. Wayne Spencer and Hans Brunswick still in a willing battle for second place, but I don't think Hans has got much, if anything, left to challenge for second. It's going to be, they're absolutely on the rags here, on the canvas of the tyres coming through the final section. I don't think Hans is close enough to make a move this time around. But it's been
both of them a little bit of a slide though. But yeah, it's going to take a big dive, I reckon, at the hairpin and a willing partner, which Wayne Spencer certainly isn't, to get a job done there. But Luke Rosella now coming out of the hairpin, and he can now cruise to take the feature race win here. 2 races, 2 different winners. So well done to Luke Rosella. And Wayne Spencer will make it a Spencer Racing 1-2. Started in 8th, finished in 8th, which meant he started from first in the feature race, in the second race, and he's able to claim second place. Great result for Spencer Racing. Hans Brunswick rounds out a top night from him, finishing 3rd, and Devonish just holding on with Lion Mitch just behind him.
It was a drag race to the line between Noah Tara and Brendan Foley. Tara just getting the honours at the line. Tim Redmond, as we mentioned, up 10 places to 8th. Dwayne Davies held his position for 9th. Steve Burko 10th. Then it will be Ujit Mishra in 11th. Then Steve Bolger down 9 places, so not the best race for the Bulge. Daniel Cox did end up losing out at the end, finishing 13th. Darren Kemp, a great night of racing for him, in 14th. Termo crossed the line, the first of the lap down runners, in 15th. Brendan Ross in 16th. John McDonald in 17th. Rhodey will cross the line in 18th. Bagaccino is about to cross the line to claim 19th. Manuel Centino in 20th. Mike Coulston coming to the line for 21st. Avenger Ben, it has crossed the line, I think.
No, he's DNF'd. He didn't make it.
DNF'd on the last lap. So that was 22nd position for him, disappearing at the end. Greg Tara, true to his team name, did DNF at the very end of the race, and Lachlan Locke rounded out the field, finishing the race a few laps down in 24th. But in the end, you got to say, Luke Rosella up 5 places during the race. He did a great job at the beginning to process the field and then the battles to get past not only Noah Tara, but then to catch up to Wayne Spencer and get past him as well, and then stretch out a 10-second lead. Quite comfortable in the end for Luke Rosella.
Yeah, certainly was. Great drive. Was able to pick his way through the faster guys pretty efficiently. And then he and his teammate, after a helping hand has to be said from Noah Tara with his great effort early on, holding on to second place there. Just couldn't quite hold on long enough. But it certainly helped the Spencer Racing, both those drivers, get away. And it did help Hans as well after he got by Noah Tara. So that's why they were sort of a bit distant compared to the rest of the field. But yeah, Luke, a fantastic drive in the second race and was never headed. So after he broke away there. So great result from him and from the Spencer Racing team.
And we have Luke Rosella in the booth with us. Luke, a great race from you to to reward yourself after a bit of a trying race one there, just finishing off the podium. Just take us through getting through the traffic in the early laps.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, better start than race one, that's for sure. I worked up a quick little strategy to get a better start with my clutchless setup. But yeah, good start and just concentrate on getting to the front, really. Didn't really look after my tyres that much, so I sort of paid the consequences a bit later on the race. But yeah, put on some pretty good moves to get, I think it was third place. And then Noah and Wayne were sort of battling a lot. So I was like, oh, okay. They were holding each other up and got past Noah. And yeah, and then a bit of a nice move into first place from me. But yeah, I guess you could call me the super sub. But yeah, thanks for Wayne for letting me come on board. And yeah, good race to do Spencer Racing one too, and my first win in AMSOZ.
Yeah, congratulations on that one. Yeah, you ended up with the best lap of the race while chasing down Wayne Spencer, and plus a 10-second lead there. Are you finding that you're very comfortable in these cars? Do you find that they're very easy to drive?
I think I did actually a lot of racing in these when I first got AMS about a couple of years ago, just offline with AI. So maybe that's sort of given me a little bit of an edge. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty nice to drive. A lot easier than the iRacing version, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, too bad. I'm not really planning to do a full season because it's on the same night as another sort of championship I'm doing. So yeah, maybe fit in a couple of more wild cards.
Yeah, well, we certainly hope to see you again if you're able to pull something like that out of the bag. Congratulations on your first AMS Oz win, Luke Rosella.
Thanks, mate.
Second place in the second race tonight was Wayne Spencer. Wayne, after a front row start that was a bit serendipitous after the first race, you managed to hold on against some great battling. Just take us through that second race from your seat.
Yeah, it was nice to start off the front, and I didn't deserve to, especially because I gave Mike a bit of a punt hitting the wrong pedal. So I feel rather guilty about that. But yeah, I didn't have the speed of Luke, obviously, but managed to hold off hand somehow. But yeah, it was good. I love the cars, but not my favourite track probably. Tyres are just too hard to hang on to, and it gets very slippery. Fence is too close.
Yeah, certainly a very difficult race to start the championship off, but you managed to hold on to second place at the end. I know Lewis knows about your defensive driving. Just how difficult is it to defend around a circuit like this when you've got the likes of the quicker guys behind you?
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as you'd think because there is so many corners. As long as you get a good run off into the straights, then it's not so bad. And luckily, that was my strong points. Hans was stronger than me in a lot of other corners, but those two, luckily, I was faster coming out of, and that just let me hold on to it.
And a 1-2 for Spencer Racing tonight. You're going to allow Luke to jump into the seat a few more times if you get the chance.
I have asked Luke to join me for his times, but yeah, he is busy with others. So hopefully, if no one else jumps in the seat, if he wants to join me whenever he can, that'd be great.
Fantastic. Congratulations on second place in the feature race tonight. And third place for the feature race tonight was Hans Brunswick. Hans up 5 places in the second race. Up from fifth, not up 5 places. A decent run for you in the second race. Yeah, just take us through the race from your seat.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. Luke Rosella, he probably had the pace from the start of that race, and Wayne was very good in defensive driving, and he also got the good run out of the corners into the passing zones. So although I was a bit better in some corners, they were very difficult to pass unless, I accidentally centered on him, like in that long right-hander just before the hairpin. So I didn't mean to do that, and luckily we all came out of that unscathed. But Wayne was just getting a better run out of a lot of the corners. I just, in the early stages of the race, I just sort of wanted to be a bit conservative. I saw Noah was probably battling a little bit, and he was driving quite well considering. But I was just like, no, I don't want to cause a concertina effect or anything. I don't want to ruin anyone's race. And it's nice to get on the podium after throwing away what could have been a podium in the first race of the evening.
Yeah, well, the reverse top 8 really lends itself to some great racing in those first few laps. There was a group of five or six of you in that first section that were all nose to tail. Does it get a bit nerve wracking in that sort of compressed battle at the beginning of a race?
In my position, I was at the back of that group, so it wasn't as bad for me. I just, rolled off the throttle and took it a bit easy into the corners. But if you're in the middle of that, it can get pretty hairy. You don't know. You got to roll off a little bit without making it too difficult for the guy behind. So that's why I just wanted to let them go a little bit. But I mean, the racing was fantastic. No one was ever firing anyone off, and if there might have been a little bit of bumping, but no harm, no foul, and everyone managed to live to see another day, and it was great racing all around.
And just a quick comment on that battle at the end between yourself and Wayne. Did you have much tyres to fight with at the end there?
Oh, he said he was struggling on tyres, but he was his setup was probably more geared to the exit. Mine was probably more geared to the mid corner. So as long as I was carrying the mid corner speed, it was all right. But when the tyres start to go away, the mid corner type setup doesn't really work as well. So yeah, fantastic race by Luke and Wayne, and good 1-2 for them as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just a solid evening, and maybe we weren't the fastest car out there, but we put in some good results.
And you come away with the podium tonight. Congratulations on your third place finish, Hans.
Thanks, buddy. And just wanted to give a quick shout out to Lewis. He's done a good job with the series so far, and it's creating a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, well, I'll say it was a great, entertaining race, a pair of races tonight. And yeah, hopefully a great sign for things to come, Lewis.
Yeah, hopefully. It's always good to see, you don't have the same winner in the first two races. So two races, two completely different races, has to be said. So hopefully going forward, we have a vast array of winners, and well, we've already seen some fantastic racing and some really good battle packs, and it has been really clean as well, which around Long Beach, not the easiest, but the drivers have done a really good job. So hopefully going forward, we can just build off this, and it just turns into a mega series.
Yeah, I gotta say the quality of driving was very, very high considering the 24 car entry list, and we've had how many confirmed or sign-ups? Something like 30 sign-ups?
Yeah, it was over 30 registered. So
wow.
Yeah, a lot of people registered. So those that couldn't make it tonight, hopefully we see a few more next time out. That said, though, there is probably a limit on the server with about probably 26 cars being probably maybe 28 if you want to push it out the whole way. So if you do want to race, even if you are registered, you better get into the server early, because you might not get in and race if you jump in a bit late.
And that shows just an amazing amount of health in the AMSOZ community and sim racing community that we've got here when we've got this series with 24 cars in its first weekend, the GT3 series consistently around the 20 car mark, and of course the supercars and Super 2 with some really strong class numbers. So it's a testament to everyone here in AMSOZ and all the organizers and the administrators that we were able to produce such good racing with such a good group of people.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. The last few months in particular, compared to this time last year, we had decent numbers last year, but, compared to this year, I mean, it's off the charts. So Super 2, we're getting pretty much 20 guys each week, 24 tonight. You got the ATCC stuff on the Wednesdays getting 25 pretty much each week. You got supercars in the high teens, low 20s. So it's fantastic. And for those that that haven't raced, have a look. You don't have to race all the time, but throw your hat in the ring. I'd like to see some even more names to make the community even bigger and even better, hopefully.
Absolutely right, and it's been a great pair of races tonight, and I can't wait to join you in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the series.
Yep, just having a look at the moment. So, 2 weeks' time on 18th of August, Road Atlanta. That's going to be an interesting one. Some places to pass, but you do put a little bit of load on the left side tyres there, especially going through that famous drop coming out of that, or going through the last corner. So, going to be interesting there. And obviously coming down that second drop coming out of sort of that turn 2-3 area as well. So,
yeah, one of my favorite tracks in the world. I think the top 3 favorite track in the world is Road Atlanta. So very excited to see these cars go around there. And that would be my first look at the Road Atlanta circuit in AMSOZ and Automobilista. So I'm excited to see that.
It's a pretty decent and accurate. Pretty decent and accurate layout, I have to say. I did a handful of laps maybe in iRacing, and it has to say it's comparable. So it's not, unlike some other circuits we go to where they might not be the closest to laser scanned or real life, but it is pretty close. And yeah, I reckon it's going to be a cracker of around there. So hopefully we get again mid-20 numbers and some, 2 more fantastic races.
Absolutely. Can't wait. Can't wait to see it.
Certainly. Well, that just about wraps it up, but we'll just bring about obviously what is coming up in Automobilista Australia. So we don't have any supercars or ATCC, I believe, this week. So
Nope.
next Tuesday, we have the GT3 Sprint Series on the Outworld Broadcast channel from Suzuka. That'll be very, very interesting around there. Certainly one of my favourite tracks. And then on next Wednesday, the 12th of August, ATCC is back from the 1988 version of the Adelaide Street Circuit. That's going to be very, very interesting racing around there, and I can see that hairpin causing all kinds of issues down there with a very long
yes,
run.
it will.
So anybody that's ahead of a Sierra, good luck, because those brakes are dreadful. And then the next Super 2 round, 13th of August, Supercars round on the Thursday, the 13th of August. So it's going to be a packed week. So that's from Hamilton, the Hamilton 200, and then on the Friday. So again, full week of racing on the Friday, the 14th of August, Sandown, the retro round, and again, Friday, 14th of August for that one. Anyway, from myself and Floody, hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast of the Antara Boxer Cup brought to you by AMSOZ. We'll catch you